Because I was trained as a scientist. I was trained to be a crusty cynic. I was trained to be an experimentalist.
Yes.
And yours, you say at the beginning of the book, don't try and think, just let the words wash over you. Now, is this because, you see, at first I thought, well, here's a guy who thinks that he hasn't got sufficient clout to stand close scrutiny.
Yes.
Then I realized this was wrong, but it is a completely different mode of thought. Can you explain to those who don't know a little bit what will have to have gone on in my mind over the weekend in order to get to grips with what you're saying at all?
Yes. And what has happened in that book is that is a book of energy. As I say, I know the truth, and I speak the truth, and I change people. That can only be done energetically. It can't be done intellectually. You can't debate God, as I understand they're going to do on a radio program shortly. You can only know whether God or life exist. And you know that in yourself by being still, not by debating it. So you can't do anything intellectually. You only think you can. Not of this nature. So it's an energetic book. Now, the only way you can absorb energy is not to try to work anything out. Is to give up working it out. Be still. But listen. Listen to life. Listen to the birds. See the sky. See everything around you. Listen to everything. But don't try and work it out. And that is energetic existence. And that is existing energetically like the universe exists. Because the universe is within you. And the stiller and more energetically you exist as stillness, the more you are able to receive.
Does one have to deny, then, one's intellectual powers?
One has to recognize that they are a great limitation on one's understanding of life and death. Unless you understand that, you see, there's no one, all the books that are written, that truly understand life or death. But they are all written by the intellect, and the intellect doesn't know anything about life or death. It knows about life forms. It can study all the life forms on Earth and relationship. It can tell you how they exist, how they were born, but always as life form. Now, life is not life form. Life is life. And unless you understand death, you can't understand life.
A couple of sentences back.
Sorry.
It's all right. I'm just going back a couple of sentences.
You're very, very tolerant.
You said that in order to know about God or life, I can't remember whether you said God and life or God or life.
God or life, God and life, they're the same thing.
But you were equating one with the other.
Yes. Yes, indeed. What else could it be?
So the fact that you are alive and the fact that I am alive and the fact that you are alive, he said, pointing digit out of radio, is itself proof of the existence of the Almighty.
It is Almighty, is it not? It's all you've got. Can you show me something else outside your life? Then you'll show me something that's outside of God. And you can't do that.
So when you are defining your term God, you are defining something internal rather than external.
Oh, of course. As soon as
you say, of course, but I mean, a lot of people would not follow you along
wouldn't
that
they?
line.
Because when they go to sleep, all that's external, which would be God, would disappear, and that's impossible. Because God is always with you. Or life. Let's use the word life, because God is people think of old men with beards.
Yeah,
and things
that's right.
Outside. We use the word life. It's a beautiful thing. It's wondrous. And we're all excited by it. And that's what keeps us going and keeps you on that microphone there is this joy of life, the joy of God. The joy of being.
No, what keeps me here is the joy of questing. You see, that's why when I find someone like you who says, I know, looks me straight in the eye and says, I know I am right. I mean, the only person I've seen look at anyone like that with the same conviction is our own dear Prime Minister. I mean, she's convinced she's right as well. But you're doing this on a totally, totally different level. You are obviously a man who knows that he solved it all.
That is so. I know the secret of death. Therefore, I know the secret of life. I have no more confusion in me. And I don't believe in anything.
You don't believe in anything?
Not anything do I believe in, no.
You know it. You don't believe it. You know it.
I know, yes.
Would it be too trite to say then, if you know the secret of death, what is it?
Well, I talk every day, 7 days a week, about it, to hundreds and thousands of people through my books. I do it all the time. I keep telling people, this is what life is. Be still. Now look, and I write a book about it. So I never cease talking about it. Never. Even now.
Most people, when you interview them on the radio, they twitch. They move their hands around. They get pens out of their pocket. They scratch their pimples. You are still.
Yes, I am still.
And this is part of it, isn't it?
Yes. You can't know unless you're still.